Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Get Reels podcast, episode 130, you guys. What the heckin' dog? That's crazy. 130 episodes, y'all. I am Adam Rani.
And I am Christine Chen.
And we're doing it again through Discord and monkey it up on the way doing it. Mm-hmm. So we try to do our best here at the Get Reelisms headquarters. And it's
true to our theme, indie filmmaking, which is all Jerry Gray together anyway.
Yeah,
so it's on par. It's on. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know how much control you have when your internet simultaneously explodes on your central neighborhood block. So, shit was out of my hands for a minute. But yeah, we're back. Christine is in Colorado, as I like to call it.
Yes.
Hanging out with the fam. So what's been happening?
Yeah, it's been nuts. I think we've tried to have this podcast for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, we have.
My fault this time. Well, it would be like you're working, which I'm really happy about, and then I was working, and then it was like this is not working. But you guys should be happy for us because it has been zero working for a while. So now we're back into the how do we juggle all of this while we are finally working in our respective fields. So yeah, I got to, I think the last time was in Austin, right? Was the last podcast?
Yeah, with Kelly.
Yeah. So that was super fun. I was there for a commercial gig that was with the Ozarka water, and that was super fun. And then shortly after that, while I was in Austin, I got hit up by a dear friend who is also a friend of the podcast, Allison Week. She's a documentary filmmaker. You heard from her back during the pandemic in 2020.
Right.
When I was there. Yeah. When I was there in Kona. And we had met because a while ago, both of us are shooters for documentaries in Austin. And I met her on, I'm trying to remember which documentary I met her on, but she specializes in doing docs, basically. And during the pandemic, she was like, hey, I moved back, because why not spend the pandemic in beautiful Hawaii than anywhere else? And she was like, you should come. And I said, okay. And I went, and coincidentally, she was also working on a documentary about the Poniolos, which are women cowboys in Hawaii. And that was during the point, too, when I was starting to finish the script for Ursley. We haven't even finished it yet. I'd taken that trip specifically to finish Ursley because we were already on track to make that a feature. And that was when I was trying to work simultaneously and freaking out Camille because the page counts kept changing live. And so that it's so funny because it feels so long ago, but it's not. And during that trip, I got to shoot one day, the day I was going to go on when my flight was going out. She's like, oh, I finally got an in with our interviewee. Do you have time? You brought your equipment. Do you want to shoot something? And I was like, hell's yeah. And so I got to shoot a little bit of what was happening on this giant ranch in Kona with some awesome female cowboys. And that documentary has since it's on PBS now. So you should all watch
crazy.
it. Yeah, it's on PBS. I have a link for it. I'll try to figure out what it is.
Just drop it in the comments and on Facebook or on Instagram.
Yeah, I'll put it on the comments.
Yeah.
So this time she called me very last minute. Was like, hey, do you think you want to come do a feature film for 10 days? That's a horror film. You would need to start in 2 days, basically.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh, that sounds familiar.
Oh, well, you said Hawaii, so there's that. and I had to reschedule a few things, but Hawaii. So I said sure, and got on a plane. I was supposed to leave 2 or 3 days later from the date that I flew out from Austin. I was supposed to drive much later, and so all that basically was fast paced. I ended up having to leave basically the next day to drive my car back to Los Angeles so I could fly out of Los Angeles to Kona. And I got the script and read it while I was on the plane.
Nice.
I was like, oh, okay. And the moment I landed in Hawaii, which was, I think, 8 p.m. or something the next day, I got messages being like, so you ready to have a meeting with the director and talk about the schedule? I was like, I've literally just read the script. I have zero information for you right now, but let me pull an all-nighter and try to figure out a schedule. So that is what happened. So that night,
Jesus
I just started to work and wrap my head around the script so that I could have answers the next day, because not the next day, but the following day that we had our tech scout. So I needed something to be able to be like, seem like I knew what I was doing, type thing. But it's fun. It's interesting because I think not many people know that sometimes you just inherit other people's work. You inherit someone else's projects, and you just are expected to be able to jump right in as if like you've been on this project forever. I think people don't know that. I think people think, oh, when you have a film, you have lots of time to sit with the film, to process it, to prep for it and stuff. That's, in this case, there was no prep. I basically had like 24 hours to come up with my version of what the schedule would look like with very minimal schedule information. And then from there, basically be expected the following day to just start. And that's just how it goes sometimes. So.
I mean, with no meetings with anybody, just like, all right.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
wow.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, our meeting was the tech scout. So it was, here's what I think the schedule might be based off of all your notes, which is even funnier. So the story was the directors, producer, they are YouTube based. They're YouTube influencers, basically. They'd made other features, but it's probably like fun employment style.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like no structure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just shoot some stuff and like see what happens. And it's worked for them in that capacity, but their stuff was definitely not as involved. And so this time they thought they could do it that way, but then at the last minute it was like, oh shit, what have we gotten into, basically. And then so called my friend Allison to basically fix everything. And so that was one thing. They didn't think that they needed the art department. They didn't think they needed makeup, which were the two by far most complicated.
For a horror film?
For horror, yeah. It was
interesting.
Like, so complicated. Yeah, they thought they could just do it themselves. They have this puppet. It's like this scary. It's supposed to be Pinocchio, like killer puppet with no puppet master.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we're just gonna grab 2 PAs, and they get what PAs? For one, we didn't have any PAs, and then so it ended up being the producer and like sadly the director having to operate this puppet, who was also directing. So then I was the one watching the camera stuff, but so it was a shit show.
Right.
Try to find a nice way to put it, but there's nothing nice about it. It was a shit show. Yeah, we got through it. It was 10 days of hell.
That's
but
crazy.
You know what? What made it fine is that it was a lot of very, very talented people.
Part of the shoot, you mean?
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. It was nice people, because a lot of the people on there were like, "Oh my god, this is ridiculous," and blah blah blah. I was like, I totally get it, but you could be on this plus have shitty people, which I have done before as well. So I'm like, this is great. I have this, but very nice people that don't mind getting a beer with afterwards.
Yeah.
So, and in Hawaii, so Allison and I's running joke is, oh, this, and this is terrible, but Hawaii, which like should neutralize everything, basically. It can be absolute shit.
It's the oil to water. It's just like, but it's Hawaii though. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but Hawaii.
Everything's kind of like gone off the rails. Shit is going over schedule. No one knows anything. Everyone's confused. But listen.
But
we're in Hawaii.
Correct. That's how it is. But Hawaii. That's literally our answer to everything. Was I know you don't have zero resources and you have to pull this prop out of your ass. But Hawaii.
Right. So was there because the influencer sphere when it comes to filmmaking has been because I've seen a lot of that lately with like influencer-esque, like not horror films, but like TikTok made like I don't to say highly produced, kind of, I don't know, that feels weird, but like there's like good edited and good like there's production that goes into like some short stories on TikTok and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's an avenue that not a lot of influencers understand and like need help with, like other filmmakers and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, because they're kind of, I've noticed too, like there was like not a documentary, but there was like this post on some Reddit somewhere, and it was about another dude who was a gaffer. And he worked on one of those shoots as well that was like made for TikTok, but it was like pretty highly produced. And he's like a gaffer who worked on features and shorts and, commercials, you name it. And he's been part of the industry for like 20 years. And he said that never have I ever been on, like, to say that it was unprofessional is an understatement. Like there's no schedule. Call time was pretty much non-existent until like 2 hours before. And they're like, hey, can you like show up at noon and like, also can you bring your own lunch too? Because we don't have a lot. And Craig has like a bag of chips in his car. And then that's like about it. And this gaffer was like the pay was fine, but it was like one of those things where it was like, I don't understand how they could just get away with all this and just expect people to just show up like this and be catering. Because like he was like, if it were up to me, I would have left the shoot before even call time. I've been like, yeah, I can't do this, guys. This is fucking weird, And I seen a lot of those posts, not a lot. I would say like a handful, like 5 or 6 posts that are like that, where it's like these influencer produced like shorts, that are like trying to regard themselves as like a cinematic quality like production, yet they have none of the knowledge and none of the networking and none of anything. So they just kind of go guns ablaze, and then they just go on Fiverr or whatever and just say, hey, do you know things? Okay, I'll hire you.
Well, the thing is, because like as a former through YouTube made my own stuff person, you operate as a one person everything. And so unless you've been on a set, there is no way to learn this stuff, you assume that because, hey, I can handle the sketch all by myself, what's adding 10 more scenes to that?
Right.
Right? Like if I just add 10 more days, like then it should be the same thing. I should be able to handle all of it by myself. And so like I can't fault people for that. Like, yes, it's absolute ignorance, and that is what it is, and that's what is causing these problems. But like, as somebody who's come from that realm, I totally get it. Like, fun employment for me was that people were probably like, this is an absolute shit show. What was my saving grace was I wasn't hiring people who were union or or people who have worked there in a while. I was hiring like people who also had no clue what was going on. That is why it worked. Like Kelly, that was her first production. Roxy, that was her first production. Jason, that was his first production. And everybody else was like just excited that we were making a feature, you know? And so that is the difference, is that is the only way you learn, is you either went to film school and like you had that structure, you know, or you've been on other people's sets and you are like, oh, this is how a set is run. Mm-hmm. But if you're a YouTube person who creates their own content all the time, you don't have to have that network. You have two friends who come in, like, lend a helping hand here and there and don't care if you go to 16 to 17 hours, you know?
Right.
Because you're making art.
It's YouTube.
So
yeah. Right.
It's YouTube. Yeah. So it's just, and I think the thing is, like, when you're making that jump, so anybody out there who's wanting to make the jump between like being a YouTube content creator to, you know, full on feature or whatever, the thing is, like, you're now hiring people who are very good at their craft and only of that craft, and they're hyper focusing on that craft, and that's how you're able to change levels, right? That now it's people who are no longer doing everything. They are literally, their whole career is based off of this one very hyper specific skill set, and they care very, very much about that skill set because that is all they're getting hired for. Therefore, that is their name. And so one of the comments that the director was making on set was, I don't know why people are taking things so seriously. We can just, you know, it's fine. Like, we can be flexible. The issue with that is that the reason people are taking things so seriously is because that is their whole life, is like that particular prop, that particular, you know, that field. And for them to put something out there that is short of the standard of what they normally would put out, to them is a detriment to their career path, you know, and to their name. And so that is why they're hyper fixating on it. Sure, will putting out one single prop that is less than ideal hurt their entire career? Not necessarily, but that is all they are thinking of, is like, oh shit, I put out a shitty ass prop that I'm not proud of that's out there, and I now don't want my name on this project because that doesn't represent me as an artist. And so when you get that from every department, that is very overwhelming. And
it's fair.
I understand that. It's fair, yeah. So the thing is, I can see both sides, and so that was helpful to navigate this environment. You know, it was a lot of like, I understand this is dumb, and then being like, you have to answer these questions. Like, don't be mad and upset because people care. You want people that care, you know. So it's a lot of this like back and forth of balancing, trying to the scale will tip this way, and I'll be like, oh fuck, and try to tip it back, and then they'll tip this way. It was like this the whole time for me, you know, type thing. And so, yeah, because I understand, I get it. I've been in that world where I was a one-person production person, and I'm also in the world where I see people who are extremely talented in their field, and that is their career. So they're not wrong to be upset when somebody makes it feel like their job isn't that important, you know. And it's it's little comments. It's never something big. They never say like, oh, we don't care about your department. It's more like, don't worry about it, or like, that doesn't matter. These little comments are very hurtful to somebody who is put a lot of time and effort into trying to do the best they can for whatever specific prop, set design, art, lighting, you know, type thing. Or like, you know, another comment would be like, lighting's taking forever, you know, or like, these shots are taking forever. Oh my God. These are microaggressive comments, and they don't, I get it. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but to someone who is busting their ass because it is a big deal to them, it is hard to take.
Absolutely.
When it's over and over and over again, right? It's like, wow, you are just telling me that what I'm doing for you doesn't matter. Then why am I here?
Right.
Right. but the other person's thinking more like, don't stress out. Like, it doesn't, to me, in a grand scheme of things, this is better than I've ever had before. So it's like, it's okay if there's 4 ice cubes versus 6, you know, like, it's totally fine. Right. But like,
wow.
So I see both sides.
I mean,
Yeah. So they're thinking like, shit, like everything looks amazing to me because I've never had help before. And like, I have somebody who does props and everything is amazing. And then I have somebody who's like doing some incredible lighting. To them, they're like, you know, they're thinking about just the story. What can I do to get all the story? And I think about this a lot because there's a lot of compromise that has to be made when it comes to indie filmmaking. It's because you don't have resources and you can't throw money because you don't have any money.
Right.
And to the rest of the world, it may not seem like a big deal. Actually, I think my parents are trying to connect with me. They're trying, and I'm seeing it, and I really appreciate it because today, I think for the first time, they realized that I made a feature film, and they were trying to understand how much that feature film cost, and I was like, oh, $240K was what it was, and they like flipped out. They're like, that's $250,000. I was like, I know, but that's actually a small. That's a very small
very
budget,
very small.
You know,
yeah.
thing. So I was trying to reassure them that like mafia people are going to come hunt me down because I can pay back to $250,000, you know, type thing. So they're like, they're a few years behind, but they're trying. Yeah. So they don't realize that like that's not a lot of resources, you know. And it's the same thing. These micro budgets, you make it work. It's like our podcast. Sometimes you are not going to have Wi-Fi all of a sudden. In my case, we were shooting 90% of the time in this theater, but this theater was a functioning theater. So then they'd give us a schedule, and then I'd follow that schedule, and suddenly we'd show up, and there'd be a rehearsal on stage, and we were scheduled to shoot entirely on the stage, and just got to work around it. That's just how it goes. It is what it is, and that is hard for professionals who are used to structure, who their careers are at a point where they don't have to deal with that anymore. And now you're throwing them into this like absolute chaotic environment. That's a lot to take, you know? And so I think I had to walk every single department off the ledge multiple times, you know? Our DP would, at the end of the day, be like, we had 6 different locations. We can't do that many locations in a day. And I'd have to look at him and say, I agree, but we have to. I have no choice.
Right.
We have no choice. What do you want me to tell you? We have no choice. That is what it is we have to do 6 locations in a day. He's like, that's impossible. I'm like, it is possible because we just did it. You can do it.
Right.
Does it suck? Totally. But like, we can do it. And they'd be like, no, we can't. Like, yes, you can. And yes, we will. And so it was a lot of that, just walking people off the ledge, or poor art. I feel so bad for the art department. They had, we all had, quite frankly, we all had zero prep, like not a day or whatever. We had maybe 1 day of prep, but art didn't because they basically flew in and they had to start. And their first thing is like a plaque of some sort they had to create out of their ass. That is like the first thing up type thing. Oh my God. And the stuff they're pulling out of their butts is like unreal.
That's
I'm just
awesome.
like, how did you know to use this to make this? Yeah. It was just funny. And they were like just depressed half the time because they felt like what was coming out was half-assed work, you know, because they weren't spending lots of time on it, you know, but they're carving headstones, wood out of foam, you know, with like 1 day, a few hours at a time, because there was only 2 of them. So, you know, somebody has a set dress too, and keep track of all things. So they were just like losing their goddamn minds, and I don't envy them. And they never caught up. One of the production designer took me aside, and she was like, just letting you know, this is funny but not funny. She's like, you're pretty much our art director because you're telling us in each scene what is needed for that scene, which is what an art director does. I'm so sorry, but you're doing a great job. I'm I was like, it's fine. We're all doing like 5 different jobs, literally. I think at one time I was standing in the second AC, AD, art directing, all at once, basically. And I mean, it's a lot, but there's something about that too that's kind of fun, you know. But it is a lot. But you're seeing a trend of this right now because, as you know, the strike. There is no work right now in Los Angeles. And a lot of the union people are taking these non-union jobs because that is all that is available right now. The non-union, non-SAG, it's truly very, very, very independent micro-budget films. And they're not used to this anymore. They're used to, commercial. We do one scene a day, we get one location a day. And so they're just like, their minds are blown right now, just how nuts it is. And I just have to like walk them through everything. And because it is what it is, it's just, we're all trying to survive. And luckily, supposedly we are technically out of the strike, but there is a caveat to that. That is on paper, the SAG board or the higher ups have agreed to a contract, but that contract still needs to go into voting, basically. And
ratification.
So who knows? Yeah. So who knows if the strike is actually over until we see whether the members do vote in agreement to the contract. And if they do, then the strike is officially over. But it's not. In reality, it is not over yet. And so a lot of productions aren't able to start because it's not over yet.
Yeah, we're still, I think, like, I saw the date, but I don't remember. I think it might be the end of November when the ratification date comes.
Yeah.
For SAG-AFTRA, which ratification means like the rules are implemented and everyone signs and everyone agrees and the actors are in. And then once that happens, that's when productions can start rolling in. Which I guess, doesn't stop a lot of people from actually making shit happen, like the short film in Hawaii. But yeah, it's kind of hilarious to explain what it's like walking through a tornado. Yeah, walking through a tornado in an independent film set and just letting them know, like, hey, yeah, it's going to be bumpy. It's going to be wild. You're going to feel like you're daydreaming half the time. But yeah, we're going to get through it, Yeah,
I know. I think I had this conversation with the DP so many times. He was just like, we can't do 6 locations in a day. And I would look at him and it's like, yes, we can. And we will. And we did.
So
he would look at me like, and I'm like, we did it, didn't we? He's like, but we can't keep doing it. I was like, but we will. I don't know what else to tell you. We have to.
Yeah. You don't have a choice. I mean, in order to get through the day, you have to.
We have to.
There's so many occasions where that even happens for me as well. Like, there would be like just like one too many location changes and so many things to juggle. And I look at my like art director or even PD and I would be like, so what's up with this? And I would say 10 out of 10 times, every single PD just goes,
yeah, it is what it is. No, it is what it is.
I don't know, man.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just do the work.
He was like, they're like, they don't tell me anything. So whatever, man. It's just, let's just get it done. I'm like, bye.
Yeah, pretty much. No, it's just, it's very hilarious. Yeah, it was all of that with every single department. And I mean, I think I was the only like specifically non-union person. But like our camera department was all union. I think one of them was like, dude, I turned down 3 commercial gigs that would have, one of the gigs would have paid for the entirety of this film, basically. What I'm making here, 2 days would have paid the entirety of what I've made here. And I have dealt with more stress. I was like, I totally get it, dude. Like, I'm sorry. It's just what it is. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. But like the camera department was union. The art, I think makeup, I think every single department they pulled were all union people.
Oh my
and
God.
I was not. So I'm used to this shit show, basically. I'm so used to this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm being positive. I'm like that, hey guys, but we all like each other.
Yeah. This is fun.
Hey guys, we did it. We did 6 locations with all of this, and we made it under 12 hours. So we did it. And they're all like dead.
Shut up.
Yeah, they're like, shut up. I'm like, but we did it, guys. Yeah. And so we had stunts, so we didn't have a stunt. Oh man, we didn't have a stunt coordinator.
There were stunts?
Yeah, dude.
Good grief, Charlie Brown. Oh no.
Yeah. Luckily they like pared down their stunts significantly. And then when they did do one big one, there was like a rigger, like somebody who was doing the rigging to do it, who was professional. So like that.
But no coordinator.
No, there was no coordinator. It was me being like, all right, if you feel uncomfortable, say something. You know, it was yeah.
If I'm pulling you too hard, if you feel your spine snapping, give me a holler.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was.
That's so funny.
And then the last day, we had to put our foot down the day before, being like, there will be absolutely no fire. And of course, we did have fire, but it was the only thing to do was like, dude, we're not signing off, so the entire crew knows, like, we don't agree to this, but they've at least listened to the minimum needs we need, and so we were able to get like somebody's friend who was a fire department firefighter to go in, and the person that was handling the fire was the owner of the house, who often does like bonfires in his backyard. So like,
oh, cool.
It was his house, his property, his he's just doing it, and we had someone supervising, and like that was the best we could do. But like they were just gonna just do it like without any of that. And we're like, no effing way.
Yeah.
Basically. So,
But that's the thing.
It was a lot of me being like, we absolutely will not do this. Cut to, we are doing the exact thing that we absolutely would not do.
Yeah, but I mean, nothing against those kids. I'm sure they're great. I'm sure they're great people. I'm sure they're wonderful kids. We love them. But I mean, I don't think it takes a lot of common sense to understand that if you are dealing with stunts, fire, XYZ, safety is going to be of a concern when there's multiple people on your set.
I know.
But again, I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm sure they're good people. Mistakes happen. That's the thing. It's like mistakes happen all the time. And I totally get it. I've had even directors who I've worked with that just don't fucking get it. They're like, oh, I usually like kind of just do this by myself, documentary style. This is my first feature or this is my first short. And I don't know really, what kind of safety procedures I need to go through. It's like, well, quite a bit, And it's mostly, you'd be surprised, everybody, how many people don't quite understand gun safety. Like, it's kind of baffling knowing what my full knowledge of film is between, like the Brendan Lee incident and every other like misfire that happened like on a film set, before Rust, before all that shit. It's crazy how many people just don't understand gun safety. They're just like, oh, well, my uncle has like a shooting range and we go to his shooting range and my uncle shoots guns and he knows guns. And I'm like, well, has he been on a film set before? No. Oh, phenomenal. Great. I guess I'll talk to your uncle then, who I can barely understand. So, yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is just like, it's never about like, yes, if you look at it, it's just it's just one little, oh, we're just shooting one little thing and there's no bullets, or like, oh, it's just like a campfire. And they were making these like microaggressive comments on the side, being like, oh, we're so scared of a campfire, and like, after everybody gets drunk, we're all gonna like hang around the campfire anyway. So like, why are you so scared? And I'm like, dude, like it's not like gaslighting us. And I was like, dude, it's not about that. It's when that one time, that 1% of something terribly goes wrong, like the Rust thing. Who's to blame?
You're fucked. That's it. It's
You're
just
fucked. Exactly.
yeah.
And I bet that's what happened on Rust. It's like, oh, we don't have enough time. Oh, it's just a little tiny gun. It's not even real, or we don't even have any bullets. Anywhere, and then somebody dies. Like that's it. Literally,
and they found bullets everywhere.
Exactly. And then magically there were bullets. And so, like, that's the thing. It's like, and I think one of the producers was like, "Oh, but you can't compare Rust to this." Blah blah. I was like, "But
stop."
I was like, if you can agree that you wouldn't have real guns on a set without somebody who legitimately knows how to handle guns, why would you do the same thing with fire? Why would you have real fire without somebody that knows how to handle fire? And there was like crickets. I was like, great. I said, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying have the right safety protocols in case the wind is slightly bigger and suddenly like the funny thing is like the fire guy shows up and he was like, his first words were, "I'm not liable for anything. I'm here, but I'm not here. I have these 2 fire extinguishers, and yes, I am a fire professional, but like technically we're not supposed to be doing this. ... disclaimer." I was like, there you go. If he's saying that, like,
sure, by all means.
Sure, exactly.
But I mean,
by all means, yeah.
The only thing that was missing from that story is like a big giant thing above your head in big bold letters with a rainbow saying "no common sense," just like right above. Like, I'm again. Nothing against those kids. I'm not hating. But this is what I'm talking about. It's like, y'all, there's so many times how safety is just absolutely not a priority on sets. And you'd be surprised, right? Because given what happened on Rust, there's like, oh, that's crazy. You would think that every single film set is like that. No, that's the reality of it. That's why independent filmmaking goes by, at least good independent sets that I've been on, goes by all of the rules, even if they're non-union. Like, it's just like you follow those rules because it's just courtesy. It's just what you're supposed to do.
Courtesy.
And if you don't have that, guess what? You're not going to have a lot of people working for you ever again. So,
Exactly. And that's what we were explaining to them. We're preparing for the worst case scenario, and it doesn't make us look good that we are allowing this to happen because we are actual professionals in the industry, and you're working with professionals in the industry, and not having these protocols means that
you guys signed off.
Care about their safety, or like somebody like me, it's my name too, right? It's my name as well. Same thing with what people are talking about is like, it's my name, and I at least need to have shown that like I know that this is not right, and I'm trying all I can do to at least make it better type thing. And so it is what it is. It's just I feel like everybody in their career is going to run into these kinds of issues where like you're doing things, because the thing is like, it is art and is film, and there are multiple ways to get things done. There's the right established way, and then there are many workarounds around that way that you sometimes have to, that test your morality. Yeah, it tests what you know and what you think is right, and you just got to figure out what's the line, right?
I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I guess we're not built the same. Not all of us, at least. You know what I mean? That are just built with the idea that, okay, let's go through every proper channel and every proper procedure that we are supposed to do. And if there are any changes, every single department is involved, So again, it's just, it's one of those things that I just don't quite, I guess I'll just never understand that with people that just don't take the extra precaution, because like it made sense even from the beginning of my career in the film industry. It just made sense to have these safety concerns and run through the rules, and mistakes happen. It's okay. No need to freak out about it, but we got to remember this for next time, and move on. And that's kind of like the great thing about independent film. But for those of you who, you know, don't work in the actual like unionized film like sets, like big budget sets, that's like automatic termination in certain circumstances, you know.
Totally.
Even if it's like one dude who's like, who gives a fuck about the safety? I'll just have some bullets hanging around set and we'll just put in a blank round in the gun and hope for the best and call cold gun and hope for the best, you know. And you can't do that. That's like on a professional set. That's like, oh, okay, you're gone. Bye.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah. And
So
I get it. Like, this is all very, it sucks because I can see both ways. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. It is a tiny ass campfire, and like I done campfires by myself without, you know, a fire marshal there.
Yeah, but when there's other people,
this is different.
yeah,
Right. When there's other people, it's other people's property, other people's safety. You just can't. You have to respect other people, right? And so the reason why the union has these rules is because there are use case scenarios where they didn't have those rules and people were severely fucked, you know, and so they put those rules in so that it's preventative measure, really, you know. And so, you know, it's like why we go to doctors, get checked up and stuff like that. It's not that we think that, oh, you're gonna have some debilitating disease right then. It's that, like, hey, you gotta go, it's preventative so that you can catch things before they develop. But yeah, no, it's I get it. It's a big mind fuck because I see both sides and I'm trying to be empathetic about everybody's situation, and they just like butt heads all the time, you know. So
yeah,
you don't have a lot of resources, so certain things have to go be sacrificed. But then, if you're sacrificing certain things, certain people are going to say something because you've hired a certain level caliber of people. So you're supposed to expect those issues to be brought up. And then now it's like, how do we find a happy equilibrium? Sometimes you don't. It's a give and take relationship, right? So I don't know. Overall, I thought it worked out because they were lucky and hired people who were very good at their jobs, who, because of their experience and expertise, were able to think on their feet and be flexible. And they were all very, very nice, kind, respectful people. And the biggest thing for me, I think it's also, you know, a little to kind of parlay why we created Get Reelisms, is that, like, sometimes you have to learn the hard way. And as much as I want to be like really annoyed and unhappy with the top of the line creators of this project, you don't know what you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. And as long as you have shown a willingness to learn and to take feedback and to improve from that, I think that shows more about that person than anything and that character. And so that's why when people were frustrated and stuff, I said, hey, at least they're trying and they are taking your feedback. They aren't like pushing back too much. You know, maybe they might ask a few questions and whatnot, but they're in their right to do that, you know, because they're trying to learn. And so now, if I get invited to the next project by the same people again, and the same mistakes are happened, that's a problem. That's when there's a problem, right? But it sounds like they learned their lesson, which was fix it and prep. You've got to have time. If you don't have money, and this is a rule of thumb for everybody out there who is trying to make an independent film, which it's not an if, you will not have enough money, you will not have enough resources. And the only way to ensure that it's not an absolute shit show is prep. It's because it is the only time you are not racing against the clock and you're not thrown into a bunch of elements that are beyond your control. You have some sense of control. You're at home, you know. You can take the time to do something well and properly. You can take the time to create those props. You can take the time to analyze that schedule, bulletproof it. You have the time, and then you can show up in a better place to succeed. You know, that is the only way to combat lack of resources, and lack of money. So is a 10-day shoot doable? Fuck yeah, it's totally doable. A 10-day shoot, mine was 11-day shoot, but the only reason it would be possible in a comfortable, orderly way is because people had time to prep. People had time to, and I knew that for mine. You know, I kind of compare, like, I'm thinking about Ursley even with Ursley, it was still a shit show at times because we were dealing with factors that were beyond our control. But the good thing is we all had enough time to think through things, to be able to be flexible, right? Like I'd been, even with the 3 to 4 months of prep that we had, I still didn't feel like we had enough prep, you know? Like it was still hard, but at least we weren't on the fly being like, I need this prop right now, carved out of styrofoam, and it's being used on the top of the day tomorrow. Like Kelly would have fucking killed me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, or me.
Oh yeah, you two would have just killed me.
Yeah.
You guys would have killed. You wanted to kill me with the prep that we had because of all the external factors. You know, like, oh, who would have predicted that we would have rain and not have a beach to shoot on? Who would have predicted that, you know, all these things would be broken that were promised to us? You know, like there's just like there's nothing we can do about those things. But like,
yeah. To be fair though, like I read the script beforehand too, and I was thinking to myself, like, in fairness to you, I was like, oh well, I mean, a week seems like plenty of time for prep. That's silly. Like I feel like we'll be plenty of good to go when we get there. We're gonna probably even need 3 days, and then we're gonna have a couple of days hanging out and shit. Dog.
No.
It was day one. Kelly, me, and Reese were like standing there, like with our hands on our shoulders, just like, what the fuck is happening right now? Holy shit. This is a lot. Fuck.
This is a lot.
Nice to meet you, Reese.
Yeah, this is a lot. I know. I knew it was a lot. That's what the week was literally minimum for me. I would have loved to have more, but like, just you're working with no budget. Like, literally, there is a budget, even though there is no budget at that micro budget level. You have to calculate everything so exact. And that was something I was able to use to kind of like chat and walk people off the ledge in the director and everything. Being like, I understand you only have one set of prosthetics. I was like, I get it, because we only had 3. And we had to calculate those to the T because they were expensive, and that's all we had. So yes, of course we had to schedule everything to fit that, because that is what
there was no
our
choice.
Resources. There's no choice.
Yeah.
And so you just have to work creatively, and you just have to prep your butt off, or things are going to be thrown at you that are beyond your control, on top of not being prepped. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes. And we had the perfect storm of none of us were prepped, and we had external factors that were being thrown at us left to right. I was doing a live schedule on one of the days because like it was still raining, and like some of our actors hadn't arrived yet, so I couldn't like schedule certain things. And then like this stage wasn't available because they scheduled something, and I was just like, I don't know, we're just gonna shoot these things, you know. It was literally a live schedule, and people were like, what the fuck? And I was like, I get it, I don't know what's going on either. This is the best I can do.
This is wild to me, guys. Holy shit. That's wild. But I mean, yeah, you're right though. In the face of adversity with time, I mean, basically it's time is just working against you at all times. But yeah, I mean, even with all that, like, you're right. Perseverance is kind of like shows the strength of any filmmaker. You know what I mean? Like, just to be there and learn and understand and grow, and also know that like there's a lot of people that depend on you as much as you depend on them. And the fact that you depend on them by proxy should always mean that even in the compromise of safety, it's always best to take the high road, because you absolutely know that if it were the other way around and you get hurt or something happened, you get burned by a campfire, you bet your ass you're going to be pissed at the top down. Absolutely. You're going to be real mad at above the line people tremendously. So if you don't have that respect and understanding, then there is absolutely no way for you to succeed. There's no way. And I understand that that's a lot to be like, okay, Adam, that's like, all right. Like, but I'm just saying, like, if you're working with other souls, you kind of have to understand where the give and take is going to come from. So is that, scene with a car chase sequence and a car blowing up is worth it, despite the fact that you've only have 2 days of prep and there's no way of getting a demolition expert or whatever? You're screwed. That's it. Yep. So X-nay on that. Let's go back to the drawing board. That's just the way it is. Yeah. And I know that sucks for a lot of people, especially a lot of creative filmmakers. And I've seen that with directors too. I've seen directors just become deflated. Like they were a completely different person, like the beginning of the day. And then when they're told no because of time or money or anything, it's like you might as well kill a puppy in front of them. Like like you just completely rob them of anything and everything great in their life. You know what I mean? And I understand. Like what Christina's saying, it's like you just want to get that great shot and you have it in your brain and it completes the thing that you're trying to tell, but at the same time you can't do it if you can't do it, Yeah. That's just the facts of life, unfortunately. Yeah. And Christine knows it more than anybody, especially with, Ursley. The fucking water kept rising up every single fucking day. It was crazy. It was like, wait, am I dreaming? So crazy. There's no way the water keeps coming up.
I know. It was like, there's no rain. What do you mean?
But how could you have thought of that? Like, that's crazy. Like, there's no way you can predict that. So it's just you and Carly just like fucking screaming at the river.
Being like, what is this bullshit? Yeah.
I love Matt Stryker. I still think about Matt. Every time I think of Matt, I just think of him just early in the morning. He's all alone, just standing by himself, staring at the river. Yeah. Like, it's just, it's nothing funny about it, but just the fact that he's just all alone and I just see the back of his head and he's just staring off into the river. It's just so fucking great.
Yeah.
Because it summarizes everything about the set. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, both of us. I remember going and standing there and just staring into the distance, being like, okay, well, there's nothing you can do about it. Like we didn't cause this.
Or we can call off the set and just walk into the river.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's when you've gone into battle mode. Like we both we just stand there staring at the water and be like, all right. This is how it's gonna be.
And that's the thing. It's like that final day where we needed the river the most, like we didn't even talk to each other until way after wrap.
I know.
We didn't even.
Like, okay, I'm gonna re-block everything that I blocked.
Yeah.
That I prepped, like completely just change everything. Plus the story. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the whole third act, right? Or the finale, at least.
I rewrote stuff on the fly, basically. Yeah. And then Carly would just be like, "What? Why?" And I'm like, "Don't worry. It all makes sense in the story. I've rewritten it. This is how it's going to be." Because we had to reschedule the finale like 5 times because it was scheduled for the first week.
That's right. Yeah.
And we pushed it to the second week. But the problem is people have schedules. And so one of the characters could not be there for the second week. And I was not going to just do that to them. I'm like, okay, I can figure this out. And so real people will never know this, that the finale, one of the characters never saw the other characters, yet they were in the same scene together.
Right. Yeah.
Complete. This is that's just how it
It's
goes.
mind-blowing.
And you
Yeah.
just had to do it, and you rewrote it, and you know
And it
what?
worked.
Like, it turned out, it worked, and honestly, I think it actually helped the story. But like, it's just funny how that goes. And you know, every day I would sit with the script and figure like, what can we cut? What can we cut? What can we cut? You know, and that's going to happen with every single film. Like, that's just when you don't have anything, like, you just got to do that. And so,
But that's why. Well, there's two parts. First part, you fix it in prep, right? That's a given, done. And the other part is trust your departments.
yes,
Trust them. I understand you don't care. I understand it doesn't matter. What fucking shit do I give about what color the vase should be in the foreground of a fucking living room set? Like, I give a shit. But I do give a shit because I don't know what kind of lighting you're using or how it's going to be shot, what's going to look like. You don't want the color to pop. You don't want it to be the very thing you want to focus on. Like, these are the things I'm talking about. And directors sometimes will look at me like I'm speaking like a completely different language. So that's the thing. It's like, trust your departments in knowing that the questions that they're asking are never silly. And
they don't do it just because. They're doing it for a reason.
And I don't know, or I don't care, or it doesn't matter is not an answer. That is not an answer. If you tell me it doesn't matter and I'm your art department, I am... Oh, it's going to sound bad. I'm going to have some reservations. I'm going to have some judgment on your character.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
I get it. Like, I mean, it's hurtful. That's what I'm saying. The best way I can think about it is it's you're literally telling me that my job doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, trust your departments. Know that they have your best interest at heart. So when they are looking for information, give them that information. Or say, hey, I'm unsure if I have an answer for you, but I trust you to make the best decision for me. That's okay too, you know?
Right. As much as it's okay to seek answers from your very own Get Realisms book today, get it. GetRealisms.com, everybody. Baby book edition now out. Give it to your little ones. We are about an hour, so I just figured let's just plug all the fucking Get Realism shit, you know?
Yeah, let's do it. So the holidays are coming. If you did not know, I'm in Colorado because of the holidays. I will be turning on the holiday Black Friday sales stuff very soon. So be on the lookout for it. I think our biggest sale right now is our combo deal, which is the ABC book plus the Get Realisms book for $30. So you save $5 basically, which is a big deal. So one for you, one for your nephew, niece type thing, or if you have a kid, for your kid.
You're giving the shop away, Christine. How you gonna make ends meet? You're giving the farm away. What? $30 for 2 books?
For 2 books, yeah. And I want people to have it rather than not, because I don't know. I love our team. So it's me, Kelly, Jason. We made it because like we want to make we don't want to be gatekeepers. We want to be people who can help others get into the film industry as smoothly as possible. It's all going to be rocky mountains, but like, hey, it's nice when you have somebody who has your back that says, hey, you can do this, and here are some tools that will make your life easier. And that's kind of what we're hoping that Get Realisms will be. I'm also launching a test version of Get Realisms Academy. It will only have 1 class on it because that is all I've had time to work on. But the class is called Create Your Own Content. It's very good for actors, especially who are, if you're tired of having to rely on other people to give you the role that you want to be in. This is a way to teach you the very, very basics of how to create very short films yourself with the resources that you have, and that's usually your smartphone. And the idea is that once you know the basics, it's all the same. you just have bigger equipment, that's all, or you have more crew or more talent that you have to deal with. But the process is the same whether you have a no budget film or $1 million film, right? It just gets more complicated when you have bigger and more money to deal with. That's all. And so, I walk you through, how to write a script, 3 pages, how to break down the script, how to schedule it, how to film that script, things to consider, how to edit your script all the way to the end. And a lot of my students have actually taken this class in person with me in Austin, Carol Hickey Acting Studio. And so my time has slowly dwindled these days, and I still think that this is a very valuable class. So that's why I created this virtual online course. And so,
that's awesome.
That's available to you as well through the Get Reelisms Academy. So that's my one of my big visions is that this is going to be a platform for other creatives to be able to dump their courses and stuff like that, so that we can share the knowledge and hopefully help other people try to get into the industry as well.
Mm-hmm. So, the proper film school for film people and filmmakers.
Film school for film people by filmmakers, exactly.
That's what's up. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Hopefully, we'll be back next time. We can't promise you it's going to be every week, but we appreciate you guys tagging along for 130 episodes. That's crazy.
Pretty good, dude. I can't believe it. That's how much. I mean, we started this at the start of the pandemic as like hey, let's just talk about making films, and then now it's grown to be something else. And I hope people are getting stuff from it. And if there's anything that you guys are wanting to hear about, more than likely we have a guest that would be able to answer those specific questions, or we know people that we can answer those questions. So feel free to drop us a line at getreelisms@gmail.com. Go on our website, getreelisms.com. And just like, we're very reachable. We're the ones checking the email. It's not like we have like assistants or like any help, really. It's just us. So yes, please go on and hopefully not feel as alone in your journey, because 110% somebody is going through the same thing that you're going through. And we can all learn from each other and share the knowledge. So thank you so much, Gilbert Baker Film Festival. Glad you come and listen to it. And I'm excited to have 2 of our films are going to be screening at their festival. 6 Words and Ashley Ursley as well. So it's an online film festival.
That's awesome.
Check out. Yes. And
shout out.
Inclusivity. Yeah, inclusivity, LGBTQIA type, shining a light on filmmakers that don't usually have a voice. So very excited.
Shout out Gilbert Baker Film Fest. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate you. And we're going to tune in next time.
Happy holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving. I literally almost forgot it was Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Worry. I was like,
that's insanity.
Yeah. Happy holidays. Yes. Happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate it, or whatever holidays you
If you don't eat a shit ton of food, and be happy with your friends and family. How about that?
Be thankful. I really see Thanksgiving as that. It's just a moment to reflect and to be appreciative and grateful about your experiences and the people who are around you. So, yes.
I'm thankful of nobody. I'm kidding. I love Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you too. I'm thankful for this pod. I'm thankful for even having like 130 episodes of a podcast. I would never even dream of having
go back
this.
And I listen to them. I mean, it could just be me listening to the episodes actually. But
I mean, same here. So
I enjoy going back. It's like a little life journal for me. I'm like, oh, this is where I was that time. Oh, this is the shit that happened. It's super fun for me to go back and listen. This is our like public therapy session. So
basically. So thanks everybody. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Peace out, Instagram. Peace out, Facebook. GetReelisms.com. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.